Hi everyone, and welcome to Education 4133, teaching English as a second language in an additive bilingual model. My name's Rob Power, and I'm an assistant professor with the Department of Education here at Cape Breton University, and I will be facilitating the course this term. My apologies for not having an in-person class for week one, but unfortunately back in January, I promised myself to a conference that's happening in Membertou to give a presentation, which unfortunately is at the same time that our regular class will be scheduled. So we won't be having a class for week one. In lieu of that, I'm recording this presentation just to give you an overview of what the course will look like, what to expect, what the assignments will look like, and what you should be doing during the first week of the course. I should also point out that we won't be having a class during week 3 as well. Again, unfortunately, I will be on the road for a pre-scheduled medical appointment in Halifax. So I will have everything ready for you in Moodle for week 3. Now, the first thing that you should do when you log in to Moodle, everything you're going to need for this term, you can find in our Moodle course shell that has been set up and that I will make available about a week before the course starts. So a copy of this course syllabus is in here, as well as all of your assignments. So the first thing that you should do is get yourself a copy of this syllabus and take a look through it so you know what to expect for the term. All of my contact information, everything is in here, as well as our class times and location. There's a join code here from Microsoft Teams. I do have a Teams space set up for us, and we'll be using that for some of our breakout activities in class. As well, for the first couple of weeks, we've got one classmate who looks like they're not going to be able to make it into to campus because they're helping out overseas with a worthwhile education-related endeavor. So they'll be joining us remotely for the first couple of weeks, and using Teams will help them to participate in our live classes and to join in on some of the group activities we'll be doing in class. So again, my instructor information, my contact information is all here. It's also in Moodle. You can easily find that. My office is in the education department over near the library on campus. I'm on campus most days between 9:30 in the morning and 1:30 in the afternoon. So it's easy to find me. I'm going to scroll on down here past the list of all of our readings is in here. You can find all of these readings in Moodle as well. I'll show you how all of that is laid out, so you'll be able to find them as you need them. Our course schedule, our course outline. Like I said, no class for Wednesday, May the 4th. In lieu of that, watch this video and complete everything that is in Moodle for week 1. Week 2, we will meet in class. Week 3, no class, so we'll have everything set up in Moodle for you. I've got most of the readings and stuff in there now. I might add a couple more things before week 3 hits, just to keep you engaged for the week. All of our assignment due dates are in here, and I will go over those now in just a moment. Your assessments, you're going to have 4 assignments for the term, a literature review paper, a group presentation, a lesson plan, and the bulk of your mark, as you can see, is going to be related to learning a new language. So I'll take a look at those assignments momentarily. First, let's take a look at the Moodle site so you can see where everything is. You'll notice that I have an announcements area and a questions and help form right up at the top. If it's outside of class time and you want to get a hold of me, you want to ask a question related to the course materials or to any assignments, if it's not private or personal in nature, I ask that you use the questions and help form. I'll check that first every time that I log into Moodle just to see if there's any urgent questions, and at least then they'll all be in one place. And you can also see if one of your classmates has also asked the same question already. So that's a good place to go with your questions right up front. All of our major assignments and related drop boxes and things like that can be found here at the top of the page, so you don't need to hunt down through the weeks to find them. I have reminders under each week when things are due. I've got a weekly module set up for each week of the course, including major things that are happening that week and notes when there is no live in-class session. There's also a course resources section here. I highly recommend you look through this. We've got a copy of the full readings list here, a link to get into Microsoft Teams with that join code. You can find that here. Downloadable copies of all of our course readings. A couple of other blog posts in here that are useful for you to look at. Some digital accessibility guidelines for any assignments that you're going to pass in, because I do like to press home the point about making sure that all of your work is fully accessible, and a link to Seesaw, the one of the platforms that we're going to be using for a major assignment this term. You've obviously found your way to week 1 if you're watching this video, so all of our resources and activities are under here for week 1, and I've got a similar structure for each of the weeks. So any readings you need to do outside of class time, you can find in here. So I recommend for week 1 that you watch the Meet Rob Power video, get to know a little bit more about me from a little bit more of a casual perspective. You're obviously watching the course overview video already, which I'm going to post in here once I'm finished recording it. Review this optimizing your time blog post. Why learn a new language? Watch this TED Talk, because learning a new language is worth 50% of the mark for this course. And some more information about our group presentations and getting started using Seesaw. So there's a video here that shows you what Seesaw is all about. Links to set up your new Seesaw account. In order to join our Seesaw class, I do have one set up. I'm going to post under the announcements area, I'll post a join code. I'll post instructions for you to join the class. That code changes by default every week, so I'm going to need to set up a new code every week. So check the announcements area if the old code doesn't work for the new code to join Seesaw. All right, a little bit about what you can expect in terms of our assignments for this term. Your first major assignment is going to be a literature review paper. And this is tied into the group presentation. So I want you to join a group for one of these 4 topics. Under week 1 here in the course, you're going to see a link for signing up for one of the presentation groups. It's a wiki page. You just need to go in here. You'll see there's a table with some space. Just click on the edit button, and you can add your name to one of the spaces. If the group is full, please don't add your name to that group. Join one of the other groups. So do that this week. Add your name to one of these groups so you can get started with them. I will add you into that group formally in Moodle, and you will then have access to a private group discussion forum for coordinating your group presentation assignments. So back to that literature review assignment. You need to do a short paper, 5 or 6 pages, APA version 7 guidelines, related to one of these topics, related to the group that you join. There's instructions here what to include in this. So you're going to give a brief summary of the article, how you can apply what you've learned, have you seen the technique or theory in action, and how does it help? How does what you read help you reflect on your own language learning, your own second language learning for that major assignment? There's some links here to some journals. These are recommended. You can use another journal if you need to find to expand your search a bit to find a relevant article. I want you to pick 2 different articles. I also want you to coordinate with your group members so that there's no duplication of articles amongst your group. So ideally, if you've got 4 group members, there should be 8 different articles reviewed. By the end of week 5, you're going to submit your literature review assignment in Moodle. You're also going to be working with your group to prepare for your presentation for assignment number 2. Assignment number 2, your group presentation, again, same basic overview, same topics. But in this case, what your group is going to do during weeks 7 through 10, they're all listed here, which weeks you'll be presenting. You're going to have an hour of class time when we meet in person. Your group is going to give an overview of your topic. You're going to summarize your key readings that you did your lit reviews on. You're going to create some individual or small group breakout activities to engage the rest of the class in related to your readings. You're going to take some follow-up questions, give some follow-up questions to your classmates, take some follow-up questions, and you're also going to post copies of any resources you create, including your Lit Review assignments, to the weekly discussion forum for that week. So if we go back to Moodle here, and we look at week 7, which is the first group's presentation, you'll notice that there are some readings and activities I already have posted. There's also a discussion forum. So any resources you create, you can post in here. Now, you can either upload them as files directly in here, or preferably what you can do is set up a group website or a Google Drive folder or something like that where you post all of your resources and give us the link to that. Each of these assignment descriptions, by the way, there is a rubric included for how you will be evaluated. You'll notice I put document accessibility on here, worth a point out of 15 for your paper. For the group presentation, there is a rubric here for your presentation itself. So the group will get a mark out of 20. And then there is another rubric in here for each group member's participation level for this. So you can't slack off and let all of your group members do all of the work. I will give each group member an anonymous survey that they can fill out where they give a score from not acceptable to excellent, or from F to A+ for every member of the group. I will then collate those scores. And if your collated score determines that you get 90% of the group score, and you got an 18 out of 20, well, you'll get whatever 90% of 18 out of 20 is as your grade for assignment 2. So you need to pull your weight and help out your group members, and you will be held accountable if you don't. Assignment 3 is going to be a lesson plan assignment. Of course, you're going to have a lesson plan assignment as part of a course in the BED program. So you're going to create a lesson plan here that links to the Nova Scotia curriculum, and relates to incorporating English second language learning and the principles that we look at throughout the course. So there's full instructions here, as well as a rubric for how we will be evaluating your lesson plan. And that is due later on in the course, is due in week 10. And then you have your final assignment, lesson 4. I say final, but really this is the one, other than you're joining your group, you need to start on this one right away. You'll be learning a new language. It's worth 50% of the mark, so you don't want to slack off on this and leave it all till the end. We're going to use Seesaw as a sort of interactive notebook for your project, and each week you should be posting in there about what you've done that week. And there are some instructions here what you should include in the interactive notebook. So in your weekly posts, you should be talking about your frustration levels as you try to learn a new language, your efforts to find links to the English language, your efforts to connect to your own learning style preferences, how useful you find the interaction in terms of learning the target language that you've chosen. You can also do an entry to describe why you selected the language that you did. And if you select a language that's not familiar, it'd be interesting to do some background reading regarding the language and then post an entry. So these are the types of things you should be including in your weekly posts. I will post a join code for you. Like I said, under the announcements area, you just go to this link here. You can do it on entirely online, or you can install the app on your Android or iOS device. Choose I'm a student, enter in the join the class code, and you'll be able to join our group, and you should be posting every week. At the end of the term, week 12, we are going to do some presentations of your interactive learning journals, and you'll have a self-assessment for assignment 4. So it'll be based on this rubric. You'll get a chance to self-assess. I will do some audits if I don't think you're being fair to yourself, or if I think you're being overly generous. I'll do some audits of your entries and your efforts. And yeah, so you'll have a say as to how you're going to do with that 50% of the grade. And there are some language learning platforms here that you can choose from. Glossica, Conversation Exchange, or Duolingo. There are some others out there. And if you would like to use a different one, just run it by me. I'll take a quick look, make sure it meets our requirements, and you can certainly pick an app other than one of these three if you have one that is a preference to you. So you can choose the language you want to learn as well. And like I said here, you should spend about 10-15 minutes a day working on your new language. I don't expect you to master a new language in the course of the 12 weeks. That's an impossible expectation, but you should put in that 10 to 15 minutes a day and push yourself as far as you can learning that new language. It'll give you some great perspective on how your second language learners are coping and the struggles that they face every day in your classroom. So that is our major assignments for the term. What I'd like you to do now for week 1 is go under the week 1 area here in Moodle. First, review that course syllabus, take a deeper dive into each of the major assignments, the rubrics, and all that are in here. Take a look through the course resources section, and then review the materials for week 1. So each week we'll have one of these Moodle books, we call it. You go in, look at those, all the materials that are in there. There's some video materials most weeks. There's some readings that you need to do. If you have any questions, anything you want to talk about related to this week's activities, there's a forum set up for that. I want you to record a greeting for us. Since we can't get together for week 1 in person, I've set up a Flipgrid board, and it may come up like this and ask you to sign in. You can join with either Microsoft or Google. I'm not sure that your GNSPS account will work for this, so you might need to use a private Google account. Once you log in, I'll log into mine here. The screen will change for you. You'll see my welcome video. Click on the add a response, and it will record it, and then I'll get a notification. I'll release your response, and the rest of the class can get to see you as you say hello. It's a great way for me to get to know your faces and names and a little bit about you, in lieu of the fact that we can't meet in person for week 1. So please do that during week 1. And please sign up for Seesaw. Check under the announcements for that link. And as well, go to the group sign up, pick one of the groups, join up. I will add you as quickly as I can to your group so that you can access the group discussion forum area, and then you can start posting under the group presentation discussions forum, connect with your group members, and start making arrangements for your lit review assignment, who's going to cover what articles, and start making arrangements for your group presentations. Other than that, again, my apologies that we don't get to meet in person for week 1, but I'm really looking forward to meeting all of you in person, whether you're in the classroom in CE313 or logged in via Teams for our week 2 session.